For years, the ACC has been ridiculed, criticized, made fun of for being arguably the weakest of the Power 5 conferences. Well, now there's no Power 5. There's the Power 4. And I'm here to tell you that the ACC is not weak this year. The ACC is much better than you think, and there is going to be a jumbled mess at the top of the standings in 2024. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. Ready to break down our ACC recap, our projected standings for this season. We've predicted every single ACC team, including the 3 newcomers, and now it's time to recap it all before we head on to our next conference. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of our expert picks. We're getting closer and closer to the start of the season, guys. You do not want to miss out on some of the best spread picks in the entire country for one of the lowest prices in the entire country. Go check it out. The link down in the description below, as well as all the other exclusive content there for you, so you can join our team and become a member of our GE Nation. So let's just go ahead and dive into this. You have seen every team we've predicted. We've given you deep, in-depth analysis for every team, predicted every single game, so we're not going to go recap. Remember, so-and-so lost to this team, so go watch the individual videos. We promise you won't regret it. But here are our projected standings, and you can see the usual suspects up at the top, but you can also see how thin the margin of error is for the teams at the top. We have a Florida State versus Clemson projected ACC championship game. There's no divisions, obviously, so the top 2 teams in the standings will play for the ACC title. This year, we do have Florida State and Clemson. But look at that. Louisville right behind them at 7-1, a 3-way tie in the conference standings in terms of conference games. 7-1 for Florida State, Clemson, and Louisville, but Clemson getting the nod over the Cardinals. Then you've got Miami, Virginia Tech, NC State, all sitting at 6-2, just 1 game back of that 7-1 mark. We are 1 prediction wrong, 1 upset away, whatever it may be, from having a massive mess up at the top. And really, the ACC, 17 teams this year, there are 7 or 8 that I really think can contend strongly for a spot in that final 2. And I really draw the line at Georgia Tech. And some are going to say, Georgia Tech, 6-6, what are you talking about? I believe the Yellow Jackets are going to be much better than that final record shows, and we'll get to that here in 1 second. But you can just see how tough it is. Yes, we do have 4 different teams winning 10 games in a season. That might be unheard of, unprecedented. That's how good I think those teams are, and that's how well their schedules line up. We've got a handful of other teams that have 9 wins. Louisville, NC State, SMU, all hitting 9 wins. That's how good we believe these teams are. And we'll hit them all quickly. Florida State, 10-2, 7-1. Tough games at SMU, at Miami, at Notre Dame. A lot of people are already kind of chalking Notre Dame up as a loss. That hurts them maybe with their playoff hopes, not with their ACC title hopes. So if they can just split one of the SMU and Miami games, or maybe even both, they probably have a very good shot at being in the ACC championship game. That's how good Florida State is, despite losing so much from last year. Clemson, very tough schedule. Georgia in the season opener, that's not a conference game. NC State, get the Wolfpack at home, where they have not lost to the Wolfpack since 2002. At Florida State, at Virginia Tech, similar to the Seminoles, if Clemson can just find a way to win one of those 2 games, the 2 toughest road games they have, at Florida State and at Virginia Tech, if they can find a way to just win one of those, they have a very good shot at being in the ACC championship. And that offense is going to be a lot better than it was last year. It really wasn't all that bad last year. Louisville was the ACC runner-up last season. They won 10 games. They reloaded on offense to the transfer portal. They're going to be very solid once again under Jeff Brom. They've got a very, very, very good schedule. But how can they handle the road games, where they were not nearly as good last year on the road as they were at home? They have to go to Notre Dame. They've got to go to Clemson. They've got to go to Kentucky, where they have not fared well and who they have not fared well against in those season finales. So big, big year for Louisville. 9-3 would be successful, but maybe not enough to get back to the title game. Miami, is this the year? How ironic would it be for the U? You know, 10 wins is phenomenal. Good enough to go to a very, very good bowl game. Maybe flirt with a playoff berth. But 10-2 in the ACC in most years would typically be good enough to get you that conference championship. Maybe not this year. That game at Louisville on October 19th, where we predict that Hurricanes will lose, that could be their season. They might not know it at the time, but that game at Louisville could determine whether or not Miami wins maybe 11 games or whether or not they can make the ACC championship or not. This team is loaded. I believe they will finally live up to expectations. I'm finally buying into Miami. I don't think they're going to let me down, but they might let their fans down by losing a game. Just one game that maybe they shouldn't, that could ultimately keep him out of the title race. Virginia Tech, love this team. They are, I think, ahead of schedule under Brent Pry, only year 3, and we think they could win 10 games. That's because they've returned the most production out of any team in all of college football this year. 6 of the 12 teams Virginia Tech plays this year had a losing record last year. Only Clemson and Duke won more than 7 games last year on Virginia Tech's schedule, and we know Duke is going to take a major step back with a brand new head coach and a lot of key new pieces. Very, very, very favorable schedule for the Hokies, and they have loads of talent to go along with it. 10-2 for them, but not enough. Same for NC State. A lot of people believe this could be the year that NC State breaks through, maybe makes the ACC championship under Dave Doeren. Grayson McCall comes in. Jordan Waters comes in from Duke. KC Concepcion is back at wide receiver. I mean, they've got a loaded team, but the Wolfpack have tough games. In their first 4 weeks, they've got to play Tennessee and Charlotte and on the road at Clemson. They've got to find a way to at least split those 2 games. They've got to go to Georgia Tech. They've got to go to North Carolina in back-to-back weeks to close out the year. What can Dave Doeren's squad do? Could this be the year? They're 1 win away on our projections, 1 win away that we have projected as a loss from maybe fighting for a title berth. And then SMU, the newcomer. Everybody goes, they're not going to be good enough. They're not big enough. They're not strong enough. Maybe so, maybe not. I think they are. They loaded up on a bunch of transfers on the offensive line and the defensive line. The offense can hang with anybody in the conference. I like this SMU team a lot. They've got a very favorable schedule. They play Florida State and Louisville in back-to-back weeks. That could prove problematic, absolutely, but the rest of the schedule is very beneficial to the Mustangs. They're going to finish the year with a winning record. I believe they're going to finish with a winning record in conference play, and they can flirt with an ACC title berth, and they can just pull off 1 upset. Same with all these other teams. North Carolina goes down to 4-4 in conference play. I love it. Chip Lindsey as the offensive coordinator, Jeff Collins as the defensive coordinator, Matt Brown as the head coach. So you've got 3 current/former head coaches on 1 staff. That's a great job by Matt Brown. And despite the loss of Drake May and a handful of other talented players, North Carolina, they're flying under the radar. I think they're going to be a lot better than people realize. 4-4 is 500 in conference play. It isn't great, but an 8-win season, all things considered, that is very successful in my eyes, considering what they lost. Georgia Tech, I said it a second ago. That's where I draw the line. The other teams below Georgia Tech, I think, are teams that you really shouldn't consider as a team that could maybe challenge for an ACC title berth, maybe challenge to win, finish with a winning record at 7, 8, 9 wins, whatever it may be. But Georgia Tech could. We've got them at 6-6 and 500 in conference play. This is a talented team, guys, but their schedule is just so bad. Florida State and Ireland on the road at Louisville, Notre Dame, at Virginia Tech, Miami, NC State, Georgia in the season finale, of course. It's a tough slate for anybody, let alone a Georgia Tech team that's still trying to kind of find their ground under Brent Key. Had a winning record last year, made the postseason last year. They should make it again this year, but the schedule is what's going to prevent them from maybe winning 7, 8, maybe even 9 games. I think most times the roster could do that, but not with what they're up against. You draw that line there. California could be sneaky good, have 2 capable quarterbacks, one of the best running backs in the conference, and Jaden Ott. Really excited to watch California in action this year, but their secondary has got to improve drastically. Boston College, brand new head coach, and Bill O'Brien, going to be fun to watch, especially with 17 starters back. I think that offense could surprise a lot of people, especially with the dual threat capability of Thomas Castellanos, but can the defense get there, and can the passing numbers improve? Castellanos can't do it all by himself, and Boston College can't be a run-only team. Castellanos has to find a way to cut down on the turnovers and has to find a way to be a better passer. I do believe Bill O'Brien can deliver, and I do believe they're going to make a bowl game in his first year at the helm. Pittsburgh. This could spell the end of the Pat Narduzzi era. Went 3-9 last year. It was very unusual for a Pat Narduzzi-led team to be that bad last season. I believe they're going to bounce back a little bit, but not enough to reach the postseason. Back-to-back losing seasons, 5-7. Could that spell the end of the Pat Narduzzi era after 10 years? Maybe the Panthers are looking for a change and maybe a breath of fresh air to reinvigorate this program that's going to be in a conference that clearly is going to be very competitive for many years to come. Syracuse, I love it. Syracuse is 2-6 in conference play. They've got a very favorable non-conference slate, though. That's how I believe they get to the postseason in year 1 under Fran Brown, Kyle McCord, LaQuint Allen, Oronde Gadsden. This is a good Syracuse team, guys, that I think is going to surprise a lot of people. Success for them in year 1 under Fran Brown, I think it's just to be competitive and make the postseason, and that's exactly what I've got, and they're only going to build on that going forward. Wake Forest falls just short of the postseason again in the post-Sam Hartman era. Dave Clawson's a phenomenal coach, always gets the most out of his team, but this offense that averaged less than 21 points per game last year, I don't think improves as much as they want, despite the addition of transfer quarterback Hank Bachmeier. Duke, new coach for them, and Manny Diaz. The problem for the Blue Devils is their line of scrimmage. The offensive line, the defensive line, not going to be very good at all for the Blue Devils this year. They'll be more competitive than you think, but still have that 4-8 with just one conference win. But Manny Diaz will have them back in the postseason quicker than you think. Stanford and Virginia, both 3-9, 1-7 in conference play. It's crazy to think that Stanford's head coach Troy Taylor will be coaching in his third different conference in his third straight year. Within the FCS 2 years ago, Pac-12 with Stanford last year, and now the ACC with the Cardinal this year. They've got a lot of long road trips on their slate. The defense isn't going to be quite up to par. The offense should improve. They've got 18 starters back, but Stanford just not there yet. Next year, I think, could be the year the Cardinal finally break through and maybe flirt with bowl eligibility. And Virginia has to play 5 of the top 8 teams on our list here on their schedule, plus Notre Dame. So 6 very difficult teams on their schedule. They also draw Maryland and Coastal Carolina in the non-conference. This is a team that, kind of like Georgia Tech, I think is going to be better than their final record shows, and they're going to be much more competitive, but not enough to rack up the wins. Virginia 3-9 and could spell the end of the Tony Elliott era with the Cavaliers. With all that being said, guys, those are our projected records in this expanded ACC and this clearly wide open and competitive ACC, but we've still got the usual suspects, Florida State and Clemson, in the ACC championship game. Who's going to win? In our predictions, spoiler alert, we have Florida State winning. The Seminoles get to host the Tigers in Tallahassee. I believe home field advantage plays a big role. Florida State gets the job done. But now you put these two teams at a neutral site, maybe against my better judgment, I'm going to take Clemson. They've fallen short last couple of years. I know they won the ACC just a few years ago. We understand that, but they haven't lived up to the expectations that have been set before them from years past. This is the year that I think they can get back on track. I love the offense. I think they're going to be better than people think. The defense is one of the best in the entire country. You put these two teams on a neutral site, and I like Clemson just a little bit more than Florida State. The Tigers win this game, finish 11-2, reclaim the ACC, and will clinch themselves a spot in the 12-team playoff. Finally returning to the playoff, where they'll hope to go on a big run and maybe clinch another national title. So guys, there you have it, our ACC recap, projected records and standings for the conference and for every single team. We're going to be moving on to our next conference here very soon. You don't want to miss out. Again, every single team right here on the channel. All the more reason to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com. Sign up for those newsletters. Sign up for those expert picks. Become a member. Join our GE Nation, guys. You do not want to miss out on everything we've got coming your way. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.